In this video, we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So first we're going to talk about parallel. So parallel lines are like train tracks. So they always stay the same distance apart. They never touch, they never get further away, etc. So this symbol here, that means parallel. Okay, so if you see something like this, line A, that kind of double slash line B, this means that, that line A is parallel to line B. Is parallel, just going to say line B, okay? What this means, this is really important now, it means that MA is equal to MB, or they have equal slopes, yeah? So if they're parallel, it means the slopes are the exact same. So they could tell you the slope of line A, and they could tell you that it's parallel to B, and that means you'd know straight away what the slope of line B is, because you know that it has the exact same slope. So for example, if you look at the quick question I just scribbled out there, is 3x plus 7y minus 10 equal to 0 parallel to the line y is equal to 3 over 7x plus 10? So you could either graph them out and see if it's parallel there, or a much easier way is to compare their slopes, and if their slopes are equal, then it is parallel. So we'll look at the slope of this one first. So 3x plus 7y minus 10 equal to 0. That's in the form ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So that means the slope of this line is equal to minus a over b, or minus 3 over 7. Okay, it's the slope of this one. And then the slope of this line here, it's in the form, so I'll go bright blue, y is equal to mx plus c. So that means this here is the slope, plus 3 over 7. So that means they're not parallel, because one has 3 over 7 and one has minus 3 over 7. So be careful about that minus, because you can kind of confuse you a little bit. You might, by looking at them, see the numbers are the same and think that they're parallel, but they're not. Another question they could ask about parallel and perpendicular lines, so specifically parallel here at the start, is this one here I've scribbled in blue. So find the equation of any line parallel to 3x plus 4y plus 5 is equal to 0 and y is equal to 6x plus 7. Yeah, so in this case they don't want a particular line, they want any line, or a general case. So basically the formula for any line that is parallel to this, where you can choose. So I'll show you what I mean. So part 1, we're going to do this one here. So 3x plus 4y plus 5 is equal to 0. The slope of this line here is going to be equal to minus 3 over 4, because it's minus a over b, yeah? So any line parallel to this is also going to have the exact same slope. So the trick is for this one here, I'll do it in purple as the answer basically. 3x plus 4y plus k is equal to 0 is the answer. Okay, so the reason being that 3x plus 4y has the exact same slope. If you do the same thing, it's going to be minus 3 over 4. The only thing that changes is k. So what's going to happen there is you're going to get a line. So there's your two axes, say for example. This yellow line here is going to look, I don't know, something like that. Any of these purple lines, yeah. So depending on the value of k, are going to be exactly parallel, but they can be anywhere here. Yeah. So that's useful sometimes. Basically when they ask you. So I'm not sure where exactly you'd use that in real life, but in the Leaving Cert, if they ask you that, you have to be able to give the equation of any line parallel to a different line. Okay, I'll do part 2 as well, which is a little bit easier, or more or less the same. So this one here, we have y is equal to 6x plus 7, yeah? So the equation of any line parallel to this, again, it has to have the same first bit, so it has to have the same slope. So I'll do it in purple still. So it's going to be y is equal to 6x, and it's only this number here that's going to change. So I'm going to call this again just k. So y is equal to 6x plus k. So this one here, I'll do it in bright blue. Y is equal to 6x plus 7. It's going to have a slope of 6, and it's going to hit the x-axis at about 7, so it's going to be somewhere there. And all of these purple lines, depending on the different values of k, are going to look like that. Sorry, that isn't properly parallel, but they're going to look exactly like that. So they're going to be the same slope, just they're going to be at different points. Does that make sense? So depending on the value of k, it can be any of those lines, and that's something you need to know, because it can be quite useful when they ask you in the exam basically. So now we're going to look at perpendicular lines. So now we're going to look at perpendicular, like I said. So here we have our orange line L and our purple line K. So they're perpendicular to each other. So the kind of symbol for that is you'd say line L, and then this symbol here means perpendicular to line K. So again, I'll just write that. That's going to be perpendicular. Okay, and what that tells us is a few things. So there's going to be an angle of 90 degrees between them, yeah? And then the important thing about the slopes, so for parallel, the slopes were equal. But in this case here, so I'll say m of L multiplied by m of K is equal to minus 1. Okay, so m of L multiplied by m of K is equal to minus 1. So that's not in the tables book, but it's something you do definitely need to have learned off by heart, but when you go into the exam, so you can test if things are perpendicular or not. So I'll scroll down and I'll just write a little quick question here. So there, I scribbled it out quickly. It's asking us, is the line 5x minus 2y plus 8 equal to 0 perpendicular to either this line here or this line here? So the way we're going to check it is we're going to use this rule here. So if the two slopes are multiplied by each other, they should be minus 1. That's if they are perpendicular. So I'll start by with this one here. So I'm just going to call this 1. This is going to be 2, and this is going to be 3. Okay, so we're going to say for 1, 5x minus 2y plus 8 is equal to 0. Our slope is going to be equal to, it's minus 5 over minus 2. So remember, it's the number before the a over the number before the y. Sorry, it's going to be the number before the x over the number before the y, and then it's going to be minus that. So it's minus a over b, if you remember. So that's just going to be 5 over 2. All right. So now I'll find the slope of number 2 in green. So it's going to be 5x plus 2y minus 8 is equal to 0. So this time the slope is going to be, it's going to be minus 5 over 2. So there's no minus 2 here. So here is minus 5 over minus 2. So the minuses cancel out. Here it just stays as minus 5 over 2. And the last one then, I'll go purple. We have 2x plus 5y minus 8 is equal to 0. Our slope this time is going to be minus 2 over 5. Right? So now I have to check, is this one here 1 perpendicular to this or this? So where we're going to do that is just going to do this rule again, ml by mk. So I'll call them, so I'll say m1 multiplied by m2. So that's going to be, m1 is going to be 5 over 2. That's the slope of line 1. And then m2 is going to be minus 5 over 2. Minus 5 over 2. Because that's the slope of the second line. And is that equal to minus 1? No, it's going to be equal to minus 25 over 4. So that means, I'll just say not I'm not going to finish it, not perpendicular, okay? The next one then I'll go orange. So now I'm going to say again, m1 multiplied by m2. So m1 is going to be 5 over 2 multiplied by m2, which is minus 2 over 5. And our answer is going to be, so 5 by minus 2 is going to be minus 10. 5 by 2 is going to be 10. Our answer is going to be minus 1. So that means these are perpendicular. So I'll just tick, and perp. Okay? So you might notice that the two slopes were perpendicular. So one of them is plus 5 over 2. The other one is minus 2 over 5. So the slopes are flipped and they're opposite signs. So I'll just scroll up and write that. Scroll up. I'll actually scroll across as well. So I'm going to do this in bright blue. So, nope. Perpendicular slopes. Yeah. So if, say, slope m1 is equal to 2 over 3, then m2, which is perpendicular to it, is just going to be minus 3 over 2. And you're allowed to just say that as long as you know this rule. You can just kind of skip straight to that. You don't have to show it at all. And then another tricky example some people get confused by is if m1 is equal to 2, then what is m2 equal to? So it's not minus 2, but it's minus 1 over 2. Because technically this here is 2 over 1. right? So that's how you can quickly change from one slope to a perpendicular slope. So I'm going to leave it there because the video is getting quite long. So that's it really for parallel and perpendicular lines. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. We're going to talk about verifying that a point is on a line.